We all use our imagination, but I would propose that if you say you have problems, then you are using your imagination to frame your experience in a way that's problematic. And I would also propose that you would benefit from a technique to more effectively use your imagination as you intend. Because whether you notice it or not, you are using your imagination all the time to render your reality according to your ideas about reality. How often do you think about what you're afraid of, worried or upset about, or that you simply don't like? Compare that to how often you think about what you do like and what you really want. So hopefully this makes it clear that if you are struggling, you are almost certainly using your imagination to create the experience of struggling by giving that your attention instead of what you want. So I'm going to give you a very simple and effective technique to significantly improve your creative power by using your imagination for what you really want. So in order to do this properly, you have to know what you want. So if you haven't identified your desires, I encourage you to go watch any of the videos that I do about that. I linked one of them in the comments. Once you know what you want, you can choose to imagine it. And as you do this, you can differentiate between what you really want and what you don't really want, but think you do. And then you can release that. These are borrowed desires, things you picked up from your parents, teachers, peers, media, etc. So as you imagine what you want, notice how long you can focus on that before you get distracted by something else, or fear, or worry, or doubt, or blocked with limiting beliefs, or some other kind of interference. When these things come up, write them down. See if you can identify limiting beliefs in the ways that you describe interference. Once you've identified a limiting belief, consider whether there are any others attached to it, because often limiting beliefs are clustered together, right? And they arise out of a core limiting belief. So don't waste your time with like all the side ones. Find what the limiting belief is that's at the core of that cluster and clear that out. Clearing limiting beliefs can be as easy as you identify it, and once you see it for what it is, you're done with it. You let it go. And you can test this by just saying the limiting belief out loud. If it sounds like nonsense, then you're not attached to it anymore. But if there's any kind of emotional response to it other than it being like nonsense, you probably still have some attachment to it. Another way to test whether you still have a limiting belief is to just go back to your imagination, imagine what you want, and see if that limiting belief arises again. And if it's no longer there, then you can continue to focus on what you really want with more clarity. In the next video, I'm going to go more in depth on clearing limiting beliefs. But for now, just practice imagining what you want, identifying limiting beliefs, clearing them out if you can, and then returning your focus to imagining what you really want. Just the intention of, I've identified this limiting belief and I intend to clear it out, that's sufficient. But just having that intention and giving that your attention consistently, it will happen. Anything that you intend, if you give your attention to it sufficiently, it'll happen.